Page 48, Spring Song by Mendelssohn. This is from his Song Without Words. Now, Mendelssohn did these songs without words in groups. There's like six songs in a group, and he had them published. So each one has its own, each group has its own opus number, and then there's numbered 1 through 6. And this is number 6 of whatever that group is on opus 62. Well, got some things to point out here. I'm going to start with the right hand. 4/4 time. The rhythm and the fingering. Look at this fingering. Forget the rhythm for a minute. Let's just look at the fingering. You're starting out here, and then here, and then F sharp, 3 on the F sharp, and then bring the thumb under for the G. Hopefully that's not a problem for you, really. It's important you be able to do this, sort of. So bring that thumb down as it's needed, because that puts you in a new position for the C. And then you're crossing back over to the 3rd finger on the next measure to go back down. You'll get this in various places. It's important you be able to do it, and try and get where you can do it without looking at the keyboard, and no hesitations. Just 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, etc. Second line, last measure. Look at this. Forget the rhythm, just the notes. We have thumb. Then cross over to the C. See, we're back to this crossing the index and the thumb. It's important. So yeah, hopefully that's not a problem, because your second finger, thumb, and then second finger again. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 to get. Then last line on page 48, second measure. You're here. Cross over to a white note this time. So in the past I've showed you with the black key. Well, you got to be able to do it with white keys too. Got to move a little more, but learn to do it, and learn to do it without looking. Page 49 is pretty much like page 48. A couple minor things. Second line, last measure. You're here in this position, so that you have 3rd finger on the F sharp, then 2, 1, the crossover 3rd finger. If you're doing the C major scale like you're supposed to, that should not be a problem. I mean, this isn't the fingering for the C major scale, but you have to cross over with 3rd finger, and that's what I'm after. Doesn't matter what the notes are. And then in the last measure, the 3rd line, for the quarter note, put your thumb on that. Last line. Left hand crosses over to get these notes. We're playing a C chord. And then right hand again, and the left hand stays up there. You see the treble clef in the lower staff there? It's here. They all got to be even. So starting with the last measure of the 3rd line, it's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And they're telling you can go ahead and pedal that if you want. Well, okay, don't need it. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the articulation, the slurs and the staccatos. At the beginning, on page 48, you're here. It's a tied to the. So you're not going to play the E 8th note. You're going to tie the other 1 and 2 and 3. Go ahead and play these legato, connected. Then in the second measure, they're all staccato, just a nice finger staccato. This is a light piece. This is not a heavy piece, so it's just a light. In the left hand, you have to use the wrist staccato, but you're only staccatoing the 2nd, 3rd beat. Type thing. So the staccatos are important. Put them in for sure, for sure. Dynamic wise, keep it soft for the most part, but you can crescendo on these 8th notes going up. You want to go up to here. 1 and 2 and 3. Go up to here. You get the same thing over on the other page, and that's about it. For the pedal, let me explain this. All we're doing is just reinforcing the C chord going up the keyboard. We're going to have all that noise going on at once. Isn't that wonderful? So I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play the notes in that measure on the third line, the last measure. And I'm going to hold the pedal down for the whole piece. Then at the end, the pedal and the hands come up at the same time. So it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off. And that's it for the pedal. As I said, you could actually do it without. You don't need the pedal. If you're going to do it with pedal, I would not follow their slurs. I think they just did that to connect the C chord. I would legato the whole thing. From starting with the C in the right hand, I would legato connect everything all the way up. That way, if you don't use pedal, yeah. The last note on page 48 is that G in the left hand. Then you're going on to the top of page 49. In the music, this is really written more like that G is part of the phrase. It's a pickup to the phrase. The phrase, in other words, doesn't start at the top of page 49. It starts with this pickup G. So in that sense, I would make that phrase line come all the way over to the G and connect the G with the E as part of that phrase. So to do the last measure of 48 going on, it's here. So it sounds like it's all together. Same thing when you get to the second measure of the second line on page 49. That G, the last beat, is part of that phrase that goes on to the next measure. So I'd extend that, this is under them, extend that phrase mark to the G. So all of those quarter notes are connected. Like that. Let's try this out slowly and see what happens. Oh, could be fun. I'll give us 4 counts. Let's hit some 4/4 time. So go ahead and start your starting right hand here. Left hand's here, so here we go. 1, 2, ready, go.